Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing the K-1 Fiance visa, and specifically we're discussing it in the context of a fiance who hails from Myanmar, the Union of Myanmar here in Southeast Asia. It's the country directly adjacent to Thailand. We deal with a fair number of cases arising from Myanmar or involving Myanmar nationals, and the issue of the bona fides of the fiance relationship is something that does come up, has come up in the past, and comes up with increasing frequency here in this most recent administration because we're seeing a larger number of requests for evidence issued, so-called RFEs. And in these RFEs, one thing that I've seen that has seemed to be a trend is, and this is usually in conjunction with a request for other documentation, they ask for further evidence of relationship. And evidence of relationship has always been integral to obtaining a K-1 fiance visa. But it seems, especially under this administration, that this evidence is increasingly important or is viewed as increasingly important by the administration. And for that reason, it's a good idea to understand that this could be an issue going into the overall process. Another thing that's notable about cases I see that come up out of Myanmar is usually the couple does not necessarily cohabit in Myanmar very often. I don't oftentimes, in Thailand, I often see fiance cases that pop up in a variety of different factual circumstances. For example, somebody may have been living here for a prolonged period of time, wishes to take someone they met back to the United States. Someone was working here for a prolonged period of time. Perhaps someone was on vacation here for a while and met someone and wishes to take them back to the U.S. In Myanmar, this does not seem to come up with the same amount of frequency. And what am I talking about here? Well, for example, oftentimes I see Myanmar nationals meeting their American counterpart in Thailand. So they may be working in Thailand and they just happen to cross paths with their American counterpart, and they basically, they may want to process out of Thailand. It may or may not be possible depending on their visa status, but they may not have anything to do with Myanmar. Also, the other thing is the Americans that do go to Myanmar do not tend to spend a lot of time in Myanmar. So I often find that documenting the relationship is a little more difficult in cases involving Myanmar nationals compared to other countries, compared to, for example, Thailand. Oftentimes, photographic evidence, there's a plethora of it. Meanwhile, those that have met someone from Myanmar, there isn't necessarily a plethora of it. Also, another thing that comes up with respect to fiance visas from Myanmar, and I do see this rather frequently, is cases involving sometimes Burmese or just Myanmar nationals generally who fled the country at some point, usually early in life, and became refugees in the United States, subsequently became U.S. citizens, and end up meeting someone back in Myanmar or here in Thailand when visiting that hails from their hometown or just their home country, and they want to go ahead and marry that person. And again, proving up the bona fides of that relationship can be rather difficult. Sometimes it's because I think immigration officers may look a little askance at those kind of unions because they're worried that perhaps it's being solely entered into for purposes of conferring an immigration benefit, and that certainly is something that the fraud prevention units have a mandate to guard against. But the other thing to keep in mind with respect to Myanmar nationals is the fact that, we just don't see quite as much physical presence by the American in Myanmar that we see, for example, with Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, or Vietnam. They're just not over there in the same numbers. And for that reason, I think it's probably not a terrible idea to contact a legal professional to go ahead and ascertain options and a strategy for dealing with the issue of proving up the bona fides of the relationship, especially if you think that such evidence may be rather scant and it needs to be proved up as best as possible in order to get the case processed through with an ultimate approval. We hope you find our videos insightful. If so, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so that you can receive up-to-date notifications of legal news in Thailand and the United States.